to the Cult of Domesticity podcast, a podcast about history, true crime, and whatever life brings us. I'm Courtney, and every week I am joined by another fascinating person. Let's see what we're going to talk about this week. So let's welcome our new Patreon members that have appeared in the past month. We have the Murderific podcast, Michael Lawson and Jules. Welcome to the collective, and thank you so much for your support. And thank to all of our Patreon members, and hopefully I'll be getting some special treats out to you guys. Just make sure you have your address in Patreon or message me your address, and then I'll get something in the mail to you guys. Welcome back to the Cult of Domesticity. I'm back with Paul from Varmints.
Hi.
I'm assuming we're both having seltzer because I saved my pomegranate seltzer.
I'm having a delicious grapefruit flavored LaCroix, or pamplemousse as it says on the can, which I guess is French. Here we go. Ready for this?
Oh, that's a good one. That's good. So since we've last recorded, the running of the bulls has happened, and someone got gored.
Did they die?
No, because of all the hospital and medical treatment around, they got them to the hospital.
Okay. I was hoping that they took my advice and put pool noodles on the end of the horns. No, I'm glad he's okay though. I'm assuming it's a he.
Yes, it's an American.
Of course.
And I laughed because I actually saw people I knew went, and I was just like, no. Why?
Oh, no.
I get you're stationed in Germany and it's really close, but still, why? It's not good. So only one casualty, not fatality.
I never could get that straight, casualty or fatality, because
fatality means they're dead.
That's what I thought.
Got that.
Yeah, fatality means they're dead, but what does casualty mean? That they're just tweaked? Casualty
can mean dead or injured, as I've always taken it.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe somebody listening can straighten that out for us. One of you true crime people, tell us if casualty and what is a casualty?
Yeah, or really just English people, because they know the meaning of all the words.
or very smart English people. Yes.
For some reason, listening to this with my horrible grammar, my horrible speaking skills, so we're going to talk about, you're going to tell me about horrible things. So this is going to be a little warning. If you love animals, as we all do, reevaluate your life.
Yeah.
Put those mental barricades up. Probably don't listen to at work because you're going to cry.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. And I may have said this the last time we talked, but I've talked to people who listen to a lot of true crime, and they can handle hearing about what serial killers do to people and what happens to people when they're murdered. But as soon as the dog dies, they're out. So yeah, just going in, the dog's going to die, just so you know. Yeah,
so maybe make yourself a stiff drink, steel yourself.
Yep, settle in. So yeah, last time we talked about the running of the bulls. That started in about the 14th century in Spain. But animals being used for entertainment, that goes back way longer than that. So you're probably familiar with the use of animals in Rome in the gladiatorial rings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Humans and animals. We just killed them there for sport.
Yep, absolutely. But even before that, there's archaeological evidence that shows that lions were kept in cages in Macedonia as far back as 2000 BC.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah. Well,
we're horrible as a species.
Yeah, and we're better now, but back then, lions and tigers and stuff like that were more numerous. Like at one point, I think the range of the lion and the range of the tiger actually overlapped a little bit, which they don't do now. They haven't done in a long time. But the lion's range would go all the way up into England.
Oh my God.
There were a ton of lions.
That would be terrifying.
Oh yeah. But, imagine back then you have all these lions running around, and they're killing people, obviously, because that's what lions do. They're predators. And so, if you're a ruler, what more of a badass thing can you do than to capture a lion alive and keep it in a cage? Like, that was a status symbol. And so in archaeology, we see that Egyptian, Chinese, Babylonian, Assyrian, Roman rulers, they collected these wild animals to say, this is how much of a badass I am. I caught this lion, or I caught this bears. So it was like elephants, bears, giraffes, big cats, anything that could bite you or kick you to death was a status symbol. That was a show of like power and wealth for these rulers. So, as you might guess, none of these events, the running of the bulls or anything before that, placed a whole lot of importance on the safety and the health of the animals involved. And now that we're in modern times, things have gotten a lot better in general as far as animals in entertainment, but there's still accidents and mishaps. So this is where the American Humane Association comes into play. They're not the Humane Society. That's a different thing. This is the American Humane Association. So you've probably seen the "no animals were harmed in the making of this movie" disclaimer at the end of movies. So the American Humane's Los Angeles-based film and TV unit is the film and television industry's only officially sanctioned animal monitoring program. So
that seems like a small number for the number of films that have animals in it.
A small number of
organizations.
They're one organization, but there's a ton of people that they can send out to film and TV. The American Humane Association was founded in 1877, which is way before television and movies. And basically what they did back then was they made sure that farmed animals were treated well. They were rehabilitating horses that were used in World War I and making sure that they were taken care of. But what happened was...
Can I just say, it's funny because I'm pretty sure that is way before we even cared about, like, children.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
As a species, we're just like, animals, yeah. Children, no.
Yeah, no, child labor is fine, but take care of that pig, please. In 1939, there was a movie called Jesse James. And in that movie, a horse was dumped out of a chute and into a river.
What?
Yeah.
What?
For the movie.
No.
To make it look like the horse was falling off a cliff, they actually pushed it off of a chute. Accounts vary over whether it drowned because it broke its back in the fall or because it got panicked when it hit the water. Either way, it died. So these days, it's largely just remembered as that was the film that got the American Humane Association involved in filmmaking.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Because that's horrible.
Yeah. Oh, buckle your seatbelt, kid. In 1940, the American Humane Association became the sole monitoring body for the humane treatment of animals on the sets of Hollywood films and other broadcast productions. So the first "No Animals Were Harmed" end credit was issued at the end of the movie The Doberman Gang in 1972.
I'm sorry, that movie either sounds like it's a gang of dogs or like everyone's dressed up really snazzy and they all have Dobermans. Like there's only two options.
Or some weird movie about like a little league baseball team or something, or a group of little ragtag kids. I didn't have time to see what the Doberman. Why do I keep saying Doberman? The Doberman Gang.
I think let's let everyone just imagine what version of that movie they would like.
Yes. "No animals were harmed in the making of this film" is a trademarked phrase. So you can't just use that in your film.
Darn it.
That doesn't stop people. I'll get into that later. So there are various ratings that the American Humane Association gives movies. And so I'm going to run down the list of them. Okay. The first one is monitored acceptable. And so what that means is that the significant animal action was supervised, the filmmakers cooperated, everything went great. If there is an animal in a movie, this is what the vast majority of film and TV movies or shows get. They get monitored acceptable, they get that "no animals were harmed in the making of this film" at the end, and it's great. Most of the movies get that. Then there is monitored...
I don't like that you keep saying most, because that means there's enough that don't.
There's enough that don't, for sure. And even in like very, very recent times, there's enough that don't. So the next category is monitored special circumstances. Now that means that an accident, injury, or death did occur. A full investigation revealed that the incident was not a result of negligence or malice on the part of the production or animal suppliers. Okay, so it's unavoidable stuff.
It's kind of a shit happened, and we try to stop it, but it still happened.
Exactly. The next one is monitored unacceptable. That is where the production failed to adhere to the guidelines for the safe use of animals in filmed media, or disregarded animal safety, leading to improper animal safety, and directly caused the injury or death of an animal.
Don't like it.
Don't like it either. And the last category is not monitored production compliant, which sounds bad, but it just means that The representative couldn't be on the set, but everybody involved in the production complied with all the requests by the AHA, like submitting a shooting script, relevant animal scheduling information, and a pre-release screening of the film. So maybe if you're filming something in a remote area of the world and the American Humane Association can't get a person down there to supervise, then there's guidelines that you have to follow, and as long as you're following them, then you're good.
Yeah. I mean, if you're filming in remote Tibet, it's going to be kind of hard to get someone out there.
Right, to monitor everything that you're doing. So there's a special set of circumstances and guidelines that you have to follow. And the last category is not monitored, where the producers did not ask or did not allow the AHA to get involved.
That's extra sketchy.
It is extra sketchy, and do you know when it happened? Here's an example of when it happened.
Oh, God, no.
Do you remember the wonderful, delightful children's movie featuring Dudley Moore as the narrator called The Adventures of Milo and Otis?
I think I've heard of it. I don't think I've watched it.
Yeah, my kids are in their early 20s now, and that was a movie that we had on all the time. We had it on VHS. It was delightful and funny, and also really, really bad. And it's a funny movie because when you mention it to people, and they're like, oh, that movie was great, I used to show it to my kids, and then you say, well, did you know? And they're like, oh yeah, that was kind of messed up. So,
I always love those movies when you go back and you watch them and you're like, who okayed this? Who looked at this and said, yeah, throw it in front of kids?
Yeah, and this is that movie. It was filmed in Japan. They did not ask, they did not want the American Humane Association to get involved. It is a story about a kitten and a pug and a bunch of other animals going on an adventure, okay?
So first off, great premise.
Oh, it's
great premise.
And it's a delightful little film, other than there's a claim that about 20 kittens died during the course of the filming.
No.
Yes.
God.
It took quite a while to film, and the kittens would grow up in that time, and so they had to replace the kitten with another kitten. Nobody really knows what happened to the kittens. And nobody really knows how many kittens and how many puppies were lost. There's just rumors, but definitely some kittens and puppies died in the making of this movie.
How do you lose animals?
Well, because I'll tell you how. I'll describe some scenes from this movie to you, okay?
Okay. I'm not mentally ready, but I'm here. Just tell me.
So what made it into the film, this is not including what got cut out, but what made it into the film was a scene in which a cat plunges more than 100 feet off of a cliff into the ocean.
No!
It's not CGI.
No.
It's not CGI. You can tell that somebody tossed that cat off of a cliff into the water below. You can look it up on YouTube.
And again, kids movie.
And it's one of those things where you don't think about it until later, like, how did they get that shot? Oh, they threw a cat off a cliff. There's another scene where Otis, that's the pug, the little dog, is shown fighting a bear. There's nothing CGI about it. There is a bear and a dog fighting one another.
No!
Yes. Oh.
I thought we were done with bear baiting after the Renaissance.
Nope.
Oh, God.
Nope. Still alive and well in Japan, at least in 1986 when they filmed this movie.
Oh.
Milo, who's the cat, after he gets thrown off of the cliff, he's shown floating down the river in a wooden crate, and you can tell that the cat is not having any of that.
One, cats, even though they do like boxes, do not like water unless they're weird cats, like my sister's cat. Most cats reject it quite avidly, especially in, like, large bodies that they can't control.
Right. And he's just a typical cat like that. And one more scene that made it into the film was a cat being attacked by a crab. A crab latches onto this cat's paw, and the cat is clearly in pain and trying to get this crab off of its paw.
Why? Why? Like, there's first of all, you probably are doing multiple takes of this because angles and crap.
Right.
So that poor kitten, and the crab doesn't know. The crab's just like, this giant thing's here. And so it's uncomfortable because they probably angered the crab to get it to latch on the cat's paw. So it's like both animals are awkward in this situation because when will a crab ever meet a kitten?
Yeah.
It's not natural.
No, it's not. None of this. And there were several other animals in the movie. There were chickens that would get trampled on by either the dog or the cat. It was crazy. This movie is crazy. And I think the reason why people didn't question it is because at the end of the credits, they didn't use the "no animals were harmed" disclaimer, but there was a disclaimer that they made up that said the animals used were filmed under strict supervision with the utmost care for their safety and well-being.
You throw a cat off a cliff. That is not cat care.
Yeah.
Cat care 101. Don't throw your cat off a cliff.
Yep.
It's like number one rule. Don't do it.
Don't throw a cat off a cliff.
Don't make your cat fight a crab. Because, I mean, as we've learned from all those videos of crabs holding knives and stuff, they'll fight you. They'll fight a human. Imagine what it'll do to a kitten.
Yeah. I've had the displeasure of getting pinched by a crab before on my finger, and they do not let go, and they pinch hard.
They're in it to win it.
Oh, yeah. They're no joke.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. How did they get the claw off the kitten?
I don't know.
That kitten probably lost part of its paw. Oh, God.
They might have used the same kitten in a scene where a kitten is limping, and it's not, I mean, you can't train a kitten to limp, so...
It's not much better.
Not much better.
We at least know it's not dead.
Yeah.
That is the low bar you're setting. Well, they're not dead.
Yeah, that is a very, very problematic movie. Even if you only like animals a little bit, that's a problematic movie.
Yeah.
All right, shall we continue?
Yeah. Yes. Bring on the sadness.
Let's fast forward to 2006 and a movie called Flicka. Have you seen that movie? It's about horses.
Is that about a horse? I've seen probably the DVD preview numerous times.
Okay.
I'm not a horse movie person.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't seen it either. But this is pretty recent, right? This has been 13 years. So this is an example of a film that was monitored with special circumstances. And what happened was, let me see, was it one or two horses? It was one horse that died. And what happened was
I'm trying to think. I think it's a horse girl movie, isn't it? Like where some girl has to tame this horse.
It's one of those, yeah.
It's a horse girl movie, which is why I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I watched the one where the girl, instead of taming a horse, she got a zebra to be a racehorse because why?
Oh, no.
I think it's called Racing Stripes. I think it's that dumb of a title.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Lindsay Lohan might be in it, or someone who looks like Lindsay Lohan.
All right, Flicka, 2006 movie.
I just realized that sounds like a different type of movie. That's really bad. Just realized I'm like, oh, that sounds... Maybe because I just went to Chicago and everyone was like, you gotta go flick the bean. And I was just like, please stop that.
Oh, boy. I don't even know what to say to that. Horse movie. Two horses died in that movie. One horse had a compound fracture of its right rear tibia. It made a misstep, and a veterinarian that was on the set supervising the film at the time, he identified the injury as very rare and of such severity that euthanasia was the most humane option.
Okay, that's kind of fair, though. Like, they're like, it kind of just happened.
Yeah.
You know, like, it happens, and they didn't want the animal to be in pain. That's fair. It's not like, you know, throwing a kitten off a cliff.
Right. Yeah. The news at that time said that the horse stepped in a hole, and that's what caused it to break its leg. But they went around and they checked where the horse was running. They didn't find any holes. They didn't find any debris. That horse's death was just purely accidental. It could not have been predicted or prevented, and it just happened. Another horse died because it tripped on its lead rope, the 13-foot-long rope. It fell to the ground and broke its neck.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This scene was performed with 4 horses, 12 professional cowboys, and 4 pickup truck riders in a controlled environment under the supervision of 4 American Humane Certified Animal Safety representatives. So while they were filming this scene, the horse got loose from the cowboy who was holding its lead rope. In about 20 seconds' time, the horse changed direction, stepped on the rope, fell down, broke its neck.
Yeah, that's the thing about dealing with those bigger animals is if they change direction or they decide they're doing something, they're doing it. You know?
Oh, yeah. Especially horses, they're smart. they're huge and they have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of another freak accident, too. So they just had 2 freak accidents.
2 freak accidents. Fortunately, the horse that died of a broken neck probably died instantaneously, so there was no, unlike the horse with the broken leg, there was no pain or suffering. It just died.
The people who watched the horse break its leg, they must have been, like, kind of traumatized, because I'm pretty sure horses, like other animals, scream, and
oh yeah,
if you've ever heard an animal scream, it haunts your dreams.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've only heard mice scream, which I did not know they could scream. They do.
So, even though both of these horses died under circumstances that were unforeseeable and unfortunate and just accidents, they were not, the American Humane Society did not use the "no animals were harmed" disclaimer on this movie, because they couldn't, because animals died.
Yeah.
So the modified language in the end credits of Flicka is "American Humane monitored the animal action," and that's that.
That's very, like, it's very terse in a sense that you're just like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, then.
Are you ready for an example of an unacceptable movie according to the American Humane Association?
I feel like the answer is always no, but just tell me. Just like we're just gonna add the red flag to the red flag mountain that's been building.
Are you familiar with the movie Speed Racer from 2008? It's kind of a live action version of a cartoon that was popular back in the 60s.
I know of Speed Racer. I don't think I've ever watched it.
Okay.
Either form.
Another movie is pretty good movie. There are animals in it, of course. During the filming of this production, there were some piranhas that were acquired from a local supplier of fish. There were professionals who set up the fish tank. They were in charge of maintaining the tank while on set. And even though they did this, 5 of the piranhas died, and they couldn't determine why those piranhas died. So even though the American Humane doesn't believe that intentional mistreatment was a factor, that contributed to the rating of the film. There were chimps in this film that were used interchangeably to portray one chimp called Chim Chim.
Yes, as you do.
As you do.
Having a chimps in a race car movie, yes.
Sure. Oh yeah, he's a main character in the cartoon too, so they couldn't leave Chim Chim out.
Okay.
Yeah. He had to be there. So one of the characters with whom the chimp interacts his name is Sprittle, and he's the younger brother of Speed Racer. A report from the American I'm just going to call him the AHA because it's too much. So a safety representative from the AHA noted that early into production, the younger chimp bit the arm of the stand-in for the actor that played Sprittle. The bite didn't break the skin, but it left a bruise. The chimp was removed from the set and given a long rest period. The boy was examined and treated by the medic. The animal didn't really display any aggression. It didn't give any warning prior to the sudden bite. It just occurred while the chimp was seated next to this kid. So, in response to that, the production went to great effort and expense to provide safe working conditions for both the animals and the young performers. So all the action between the young boy and the chimp was filmed against a green screen, so that the animals and the child could be filmed separately from one another. Nobody's in any danger.
That seems smart.
Yeah. Unfortunately, toward the end of the filming, during a training session in the presence of the American Humane representative, the trainer, in an uncontrolled impulse, hit the chimpanzee.
What?
He hit it. I don't think it says why, but he hauled off and hit the chimp. The representative stopped the session immediately, notified production, and demanded the trainer be reprimanded, and that the trainers abide by their written assurance that only positive reinforcement training techniques be used with the chimpanzees. The trainer's action was in violation of American Humane's guidelines and a signed agreement with the production. The animal wasn't injured, but the American Humane found that to be completely inexcusable, unacceptable behavior in the use of any animal. Even though this incident didn't occur during the cause of filming, no animal should be physically punished in the process of training, management, performance. And it was just a really, really bad thing. That cost them that disclaimer that no animals were harmed in the making of this film. Even though it wasn't on screen, even though it was a one-time incident, they did not get that disclaimer. And if you go to their website, they list that as an unacceptable movie.
I wonder if it was the same chimp.
It doesn't say which chimp it was. They were using 2 chimps. One was 2 years old and one was 3 years old. They were using them interchangeably, and they don't really give the names of the chimps, so it's hard to tell which one of the chimps got hit.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be, it seems maybe suspicious if, they out of sight, maybe the chimps were treated a little differently, or that chimp had some issues that they weren't upfront with, and so the trainer was getting frustrated and hit him because it was something else going on.
Sure, and that's entirely possible, and there's a lot of variables there, right? Maybe the trainer just had a bad day. Maybe the chimp just had a bad day. There's really no excuse to hit an animal like that.
Yeah, and chimps are really smart too.
Oh, they're some of the smartest animals that are not humans, by far.
Yeah, I always am shocked when people want them as pets because they're stronger than us and they're smart, and if they're angry, you're not gonna win.
That is a really bad idea because they have killed people.
They ripped a lady's face off.
They will. All right, well, the next movie is Zookeeper from 2011.
Is that the Matt Damon one?
I believe so. Is Matt Damon in that one? Let's look.
Or wait, no, is that We Bought a Zoo is with Matt Damon. Is this the Nazi one?
Hang on, I'm looking it up.
I think this is the Nazi one.
This is a Kevin James movie.
That's really why I don't know it.
Yeah, Kevin James, Adam Sandler. It's that movie. A giraffe died. An 18-year-old giraffe died because he was eating pieces of the blue tarp that covered his cage. American Humane conducted investigations. They found that the death was unpreventable. There was no indication of mistreatment or neglect. They did a necropsy on it. Nothing alarming about the necropsy. And any health issue that the giraffe might have had was probably related to its age, because 18 is pretty old for a giraffe. So they did get the disclaimer, no animals were harmed disclaimer, and they were fine, but PETA protested anyway because that's what PETA does.
They just love a good protest, a bad protest. Really, they just like making signs and throwing red paint on people.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Do you watch any of the Lord of the Rings movies?
Yes.
Okay.
I love them, and I feel like I'm going to be very disappointed.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey from 2012.
Which is arguably the best of that trilogy.
And it is a good movie, and I like them too. And yeah, they're good movies. So the animal wranglers that were involved with making that film claim that the production company is responsible for the deaths of up to 27 animals at a farm in Wellington, New Zealand, largely because
that's a lot.
That's a lot. They were all kept at a farm filled with bluffs, sinkholes, and other death traps.
I'm sorry.
What? Yeah, that is their quote. Bluffs, sinkholes, and other death traps.
That just sounds like, I don't know, a video game or something like that. Like you're going to like an escape room and there's bluffs, sinkholes, and other death traps. Not somewhere you store animals. There
was actually a big investigation into not the film, but the AHA and their practices and what they were doing on the set of that film. The AHA says that no animals were harmed during the actual filming, but it also says that the Wranglers' complaints highlight shortcomings in its system, which monitors film sets, but not the facilities where the animals are housed and trained.
That seems fair, because the giraffe died because it was eating, the tarp, and so they weren't watching, like, hey, like, don't you think you would notice if something, like, it's eating the tarp, and then if you should also go check where animals are living.
Right.
It's like a child. You don't just check the child when it's at school. Like, social workers check the home environment. You got to check where the animals are when they're not at school.
Exactly. And so that's what the American Humane Association was not doing. They were not supervising the farm because the farm was not on the set. So a spokesman for the director, Peter Jackson, acknowledged that horses, goats, chicken, and one sheep died at the farm in Wellington, where there were about 150 animals that were there. They were housed there for the movies. But he said some of them were deaths from natural causes, which can happen.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson actually adopted some of the pigs after the filming of that movie.
I always love when they do that, because in the original Lord of the Rings movies, Viggo Mortensen adopted his horse, and his I think one of the stunt people got really really cared for their horse, and they couldn't afford it, so he bought it for them too.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is always nice.
Sure.
Let's throw some animal happiness in with all the animal injury and death.
Yeah. So the AHA released a statement. It said that the animals were not under their jurisdiction, but it called the deaths of the animals, which reportedly took place on a working farm, needless and unacceptable. The AHA didn't further investigate, and eventually they made up their own little disclaimer for the end of that movie. So the disclaimer at the end of that movie says that the AHA monitored all of the significant animal action. No animals were harmed during such action. So while they were being filmed, they were fine.
I'm gonna call some bullshit on that because it's basically seems like a lawyery. They were like, okay, lawyer, please, save our asses because we did not check where the animals were sleeping and on their days off.
Pretty much. And it's interesting because the AHA online has a website, and you can go in that directory and look at every movie where there was an animal involved, and they will tell you in detail what happened on that set, how the animals were treated, what the rating was that was given to them. They get all the information on a movie where there was an animal used. 3 Lord of the Rings movies and 2 Hobbits movies are listed in that directory. Guess which one is missing?
The first Hobbit movie?
Yes. They have swept that one right under the rug. You cannot find their rating of that movie anywhere.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That makes it shadier when you hide it instead of being like, hey, we learned from this. We're going to adapt and move on. Instead, you're just like, don't look behind the curtain.
Exactly. That's what they did.
There's nothing behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Which is a Hobbit movie. It made millions and billions of dollars. People are going to look that shit up.
Yeah. So yeah, they weren't terribly honest or transparent with that one. They did not own that one. It's just like it never happened.
It's not the best life choices.
So one more. It's not one more because I have a bunch more. But we'll buzz through them. We'll buzz through some of them really quick.
We'll do a speed round after this one.
The 2012 movie Life of Pi. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
Okay.
I have not seen it, but I just know there's a giant CGI tiger on a boat, and I was like, that's not smart. Tigers should not be on a boat with a human.
Well, aren't you smart? Yes, you are thinking more clearly than the people involved in the movie were. Yeah, no, tigers don't like water. They are actually, tigers do like water. They like water a lot. Yeah, they do. So yeah,
I'm just thinking if you're in the middle of a situation, it could be stressful.
Yes. So yeah, it's the story of a boy lost at sea with a tiger. A large portion of it was shot on the water. As you said, a lot of it was CGI, but there were a number of scenes involving a real tiger named King, and those scenes were shot in a water tank. The Hollywood Reporter, which compiled a report of alleged abuses on film sets, claimed that during one scene, King nearly drowned and had to be dragged to safety with a catch rope.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Why can't you just do a small tank, like where there's only a little bit of water? Just CGI that shit. You're already CGIing a tiger. Come on. You're already paying to CGI the tiger. It's got to be easier to just depth the water if you have other shots.
I don't know. So this poor tiger, he almost died. A representative for the AHA, her name was Gina Johnson, and she sent out an email, and I guess the email got leaked, or somebody got a hold of the email. And part of the email, she said, I have downplayed the F out of it.
Oh, that's good. Solid professionalism in that email. And, no.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's an Oscar contender. Don't almost kill a fucking tiger.
Yeah. After that email came out and people saw it, she left. She had to resign.
Yeah, probably a great idea.
And I didn't bother to see what that rating got from the AHA Life.
Probably almost killed a tiger rating. I don't think that's an actual rating, but I'm going with it. Animal almost died rating. We should have CGI'd the tiger. Or faked it was in water. I don't know.
I should have done this ahead of time. Let me see if I can find it. So here's something interesting. That movie, The Life of Pi, if you go on the AHA website, guess what?
Is it not there?
It's not there.
We've uncovered a conspiracy.
They don't like saying when they've screwed up, is what we're learning here.
Like empires, you should always admit when you fuck up, because everyone will know otherwise.
All right, so you ready for a speed round?
Yes.
Okay, here are films where animals actually died on camera in the movie. All right? This is a short history. In 1903, our buddy Thomas Edison made a short film called Electrocuting an Elephant. Guess what happened in this movie?
He actually electrocuted an elephant.
Yes, for the sake of a paying audience.
Edison's an asshole, in case anyone was wondering my opinion on him.
Totally. Complete
garbage
asshole.
person.
Yeah, absolute garbage. The 1925 version of Ben-Hur claimed the lives of a human stuntman and 5 horses. In 1939, the movie Stagecoach, they invented a glorified tripwire to show horses just wiping out, and that actually killed or crippled several horses. We don't know exactly how many, but when you see those horses turfing out in that movie, they've probably broken their legs and died. 1973 movie, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, a scorpion is shown being killed. There are live chickens that are shown getting their heads blown off by a gun, and a horse being shot in the neck.
Why? Why? Unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary. Yep. The 1979 movie, Apocalypse Now, depicted the ritual slaughter of a buffalo. This was not staged or planned. This was just happened to be going on at the time, and they filmed it because they had their equipment set up, and they added it to the movie. And if you watch that movie, it's like, wow, they just cut that buffalo's head off.
Yeah.
It's
great.
It's pretty disturbing. Here's a good one. The 1980 movie Heaven's Gate. Now, the AHA was not allowed on the set. They did not want them anywhere near their production.
That's always the first sign it's not good.
Giant red flag.
We'll add it to the mountain. We'll put it on the top.
That's the biggest red flag of all. So the production is accused of killing at least 4 horses, bleeding other horses from the neck, disemboweling cows, accidentally blowing up a horse and its rider with dynamite, even though the rider survived that, staging actual cockfights, and decapitating a chicken.
I'm sorry, how do you accidentally blow up a horse and rider?
I don't know.
I've never seen this movie, and I'm kind of curious now, just because, most of the time with stunts, they're very, on top of it, they're trying not to kill people.
Yeah. No, it was, oopsie daisy, blew up that horse.
I'm sure that's what they were saying on there, not a room full of expletives.
Oopsie daisy.
Oopsie daisy. Go pick up my friend who's almost been exploded.
The AHA, they actually picketed screenings of that film. They protested that film.
They're also a fan of protesting?
In that case, they were. They were like, we didn't have anything to do with this mess.
This dumpster fire of treatment of animals, we weren't a part of that one. Almost drowning a tiger? Yeah, we were a part of that one. We tried to hide it, but that dumpster fire we're not a part of.
Oh, I hate laughing at that, but that's absolutely true.
We're just going to cover up that dumpster fire. We're just going to slowly smother it. The tiger dumpster fire, we're just going to, and the Lord of the Rings dumpster fire, we're just going to smother those ones.
Yeah.
That one, we're going to, while we put this one on, full display.
Yeah, exactly. The same year, 1980, this is the most upsetting one to me. There was a movie called Cannibal Holocaust, and they showed a sea turtle being dismembered. A sea turtle.
Sea turtles are gentle giants.
Yeah.
They're basically dinosaurs. Why do we have to hurt them so?
That's the toughest one for me. That one, they're all tough, but why a sea turtle, dudes? Why?
And think about it. You could probably get a sea turtle model at that point. There's really no excuse.
Yeah.
Also, they probably were still endangered.
In 1980, oh yeah, they were for sure in trouble. They've been in trouble for a long time.
Yeah, so that's great. Let's take an endangered animal and butcher it on screen.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
And then the final one is in 2007. There was a Disney movie called Snow Bunnies, and they don't know how or why they died. They got the little disclaimer, but several puppies died in that movie because they had infectious diseases.
Oh,
yeah.
You kind of can't help that, but still.
You can't help it, but it happened. I don't know exactly how many puppies died, but yeah, some puppies died, and that's unfortunate.
And you know what's sad is that's an Air Bud sequel, whatever number it is.
Yes. And actually, me and my son were talking about Air Bud because I was telling him what we were talking about in this movie, and he had actually seen something on YouTube or some sort of documentary where they talked about how well the animals on Air Bud were taken care of. So, yeah,
so
like I said, the majority of these movies that have animals in them are, above board, treating the animals as best as they can, and they're great. It's just the little outliers here and there that can get pretty rough.
Oh, yeah.
So, Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if you need a happy animal ending story, I can talk about Seth Rogen's encounter with a tiger.
Oh yeah, please.
On the movie that almost put us to war with North Korea. Because there's a tiger in that movie. And I've watched the interview several times. He's like on Graham Norton Show, which is a British talk show. And he goes, yeah, we were shooting like in Toronto, and they're like, he's like, can't we just CGI tiger? And they're like, oh, we don't have budget for that. We barely have a budget. And he's like, okay. They're like, we'll get a tiger. He's like, so the tiger wrangler and his son come in, and he goes, yeah, we got this tiger from a stripper. Again, do not have exotic pets. And he's like, okay, when are you gonna shoot this? You know, they're like, they don't really, like, it's not a good idea to do it in, like, big open spaces. They're like, oh, yeah, it's gonna be in a big open space. Well, what time are you doing it? Well, we're planning to do it at night. Well, not the best idea. They hunt at night. And you just see Seth Rogen just sitting, he's like, just sitting there like, what is happening? He goes, is it safe to do this? He goes, it's like 80% safe, so yeah, we can do it.
God.
We can do it. And then when they're doing, he's like, yeah, we're gonna have my son here because my son has a better relationship with the tiger. And you just, like, Seth Rogen's like, I was just like, what is happening? Like, so we almost died probably, but
geez.
everybody turned out okay. They got shot. The tiger is safe. I'm assuming back with its owner, the stripper. But
that would scare the hell out of me. Like if you said, yeah, you can take that pill, there's an 80% chance that you're gonna, it's not gonna kill you. I'm probably not gonna take that pill. Yeah.
It's just watching him tell the story, and he's like, the whole time they were just like, probably him and James Franco going back and forth, like, do we need this scene? Do we really need this scene of us crawling in like Kim Jong-un's tiger pen?
Mm-hmm.
So just know, some actors are just as nervous to work with tigers when the tiger is just laying there.
Oh yeah, I would be, for sure.
They can maul your face off. Not as much as a chimp, but they can still maul your face off.
Yeah, that can be dangerous. So one more thing, if I can.
Yes.
Okay, so we mentioned that the no animals were harmed in the making of this film is trademarked.
Mm-hmm. Well,
sometimes movie producers will have a completely unauthorized no animals were harmed statement in the credits. And when that happens, the AHA has to send the studios and distributors connected to it a cease and desist letter that demands the unauthorized disclaimers be removed from the theatrical and DVD releases of the movies. So here is a list of a few movies that have done that. And some of these I have never heard of, and some of these I have definitely heard of. Okay. There's a movie called 222, Adam, District 9, which I've heard of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an alien movie, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Easy Virtue, never heard of that one. How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Shrink, which I think I've heard of. A movie called Tamara Drew. And The King's Speech.
What?
The King's Speech had an unauthorized no animals were harmed in the making of this film at the end of their movie.
It's an Oscar-winning film.
Right? Yeah.
Who forgot?
Well, it's not that who forgot. I guess who forgot and who made the decision to put that in there anyway. Thinking that it would be okay and that nobody was going to notice.
I just imagine them having to go up to your door and knock it and like, we need to exchange DVDs. They have to go exchange all the DVDs and redo it. Oh my god, that's gotta cost them so much money.
Yeah, somebody got fired.
Oh, someone definitely got fired on that one.
Somebody got super fired. So yeah, there's a little history of animals in film and TV and movies.
Yay!
Oh.
Paul, do you want to tell them where they can find your lovely show, Varmints?
I would love to. It's called Varmints. It is the only podcast called Varmints on the internet, as far as I know. And we don't talk about animals dying. We try not to do that. So this is very off-brand for what we do. We have a family-friendly podcast. We cover a single animal in one show. We tell you a little bit about that animal. We tell you where it appears in pop culture, and it's a lot of fun. And hopefully, it's also funny and people laugh at it. And it's a nice show. And yeah, please go listen to it and enjoy it. And you will not be bummed out when you listen to that show because we will not talk about horses and puppies dying. I promise. We don't do that.
Yeah, go listen to it after this one to pick yourself back up to know that, yeah, we aren't all horrible to animals.
Yes, absolutely.
And just imagine James Franco crawling around with the tiger with an 80% chance of dying. That would make me laugh.
Hey, it was great to come here and talk to you about this stuff because, like I say, I don't get to talk about this stuff normally on my podcast. And this kind of stuff is just, it's a bummer, but it's fascinating to me at the same time.
It's like a train crash or car crash. You can't help but watch.
Yeah.
And you feel horrible, but you still, like, are sitting there just, like, between your fingers, like, watching this.
Yep. And if you've listened for this long, if you're at this point, thanks for hanging in there.
Yes, thank you. I'll see you guys again next week with a different guest. I can't remember off the top of my head who it is, but get excited. Bye.
Hey, I thought I'd do something fun for my birthday month this year, and I would like you guys to play along. I would like you to do a tag with this podcast. So either share it with someone who's your best friend or someone you think would enjoy it. But I think that would be the best gift is you guys sharing the podcast. Maybe, if you're stuck in the car for a couple hours, force your whole family to listen to a couple episodes. I don't know. Have fun with it. Also, if you do it, please tag me in any pictures because I would love to see all the friendship sharing podcast memories.
Hey, my name's Paul, and I'm not an animal expert.
I'm Donna, and I'm not an animal expert either.
And together we do a podcast about animals called Varmints.
Every week, we do a bunch of research on it and facts about that.
But we don't stop there. We talk about that animal in movies, TV, and other pop culture.
And we talk about whether a tasty dish, intelligent we think it is, scale of 1
It's exactly like one of those fancy PBS nature documentaries.
except with more poo jokes.
New episodes go live every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Or you can visit us at blazingcariboustudios.com.
Varmints! Varmints!
I'm Chelsea, and I love true crime.
And I'm David, and I love horror movies. And we co-host Based on a True Crime, a podcast where we discuss the real cases that inspired some of the most gruesome crimes and criminals to grace the big and small screen.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Google Play if you're interested in hearing the true stories behind some really great movies, including In Cold Blood, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and Murder by Numbers.
So grab some popcorn, with extra fake butter topping, of course, and join us as we explore just how much of the movies that kept you awake at night.
Cult of Domesticity, we're available on all podcatchers. Remember to rate, review, subscribe to help spread the word, or just force other people to listen to it. Our Facebook and Twitter are at Domestic Podcasts, and our Instagram is at the Cult of Domesticity. We also have podcast merch at Threadless. As well, if you want to support us financially or show some appreciation, we have a PayPal tip jar and a Patreon, which has some pretty great perks. Any topic suggestions, feel free to email us at domesticpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to stay domestic and cult-free.